one.
Namaste, welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of TT Talks. My name is Suhas,
My name is Kotaka.
and today we have a special guest.
Hi, my name is Sibani.
So let's just get right into it. So Sibani, what university do you go to and what are you pursuing right now?
Sure. I'm a senior at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. I'm majoring in biology and anthropology. I'm interested in pursuing a career in medicine eventually, but also interested in sort of nurturing an interest in writing and something creative on the side, but probably will wait on that till later. But yeah, that's about me for right now.
And what languages do you speak?
Well, my first language was Tamil. I've been speaking Tamil like ever since I can remember being alive. And then also went to school and obviously picked up English along the way. And my Spanish is very weak, very limited working proficiency. But I'd say the two languages that I actually can actually converse in would be English and Tamil.
Mm-hmm. So if Tamil was your first language, were you born in India and then moved to the US?
No, I was born in the U.S. I was born in Iowa City, Iowa, but then I moved to Houston, Texas. So there was a huge Tamil community, and I also grew up with my grandmother. Like my earliest memories are with my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother, and so she doesn't speak English, and so that's kind of how it became my first language.
Whoa, that's interesting.
That is interesting, especially because a lot of first generation kids here, English tends to be their first language.
Yeah.
So Tamil being your first language is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I speak Telugu. And I only started learning it until like my I would say third grade. That's when I first started learning.
Yeah, I don't think I would not give much credit to myself. I literally just kind of passively try to blend in whatever environment I'm in. I would give all the credit to my grandmother. Thank you. Sure. Yeah.
I
Do
think
you know
I'm
what
very
part of
similar. Go ahead.
Tamil Nadu are your parents from?
Yeah. So we are like there's a village, Utramerur, and my parents are like actually from there, but most of my family lives in Madras and we live in Indranagar, so Adayar, that kind of area
Mm-hmm.
specifically. The kind of close to the Besant Nagar beach. I'm not very good at like Chennai geography, but those are some of the common names that were thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so are you involved in any like cultural clubs at Duke or like anything like that?
I'm not like involved in an executive position because it's like pretty time consuming and competitive too sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
I go to all the events. I went to the Awaz showcase, dance showcase, Navaratri, Diwali events. I go to all of those, all the performances. In Houston, when I used to live in Houston, I was pretty involved. I did some Carnatic music singing, and then I kind of gave up in the middle. But I think when I'm in my lowest of lows, I have to listen to Indian music. When I'm running on the treadmill, I have to listen to Bollywood music. There's nothing that can recapture that same energy. And so I definitely am involved, but not not in a leadership way, but just in a very personal, emotional way. I continue to be involved. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So like just a random question. So you said you listen to Bollywood music when you run, which is also kind of like me. Like so do you specifically listen to just like Bollywood Hindi music or do you also listen to Tamil music?
Yeah, I think Hindi is a little bit more I don't understand it, which is kind of a problem, but sometimes I'm running, I'm too tired. So it's like the Bollywood music is great for running, and sometimes though, like some of this Tamil music, I don't know, like this Vijay Masala music, like if it's fast, anything with a fast beat, I'll listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's this really old there's just really like not super well known song, but it's called like Yenge Ni Chandralum, like it's Tamil, and I like listening to that when I run. I mix it up, but I would say it's definitely like more Hindi music because those are kind of like the high energy, fast beat songs.
Gotcha, gotcha,
Mhm.
gotcha. So, Kritika, do you have any questions?
So when you said that you lived in Texas, how was like the Indian community and the Tamil community there?
Oh, it was a lot. I don't know. I thought it was quite. I could compete with actually spending summers in India. There were so many people. Um,
Wow.
there was like I was like that's when I did some of the Carnatic singing, or my
Mhm.
parents kind of like nudged me into that, and so there was this whole like festival at the temple, and I probably went to the temple a lot, and I
Hmm.
have a lot of Indian friends. I went to like a primary preschool. It was like at least half the people were Indian, if not more. And so I had a lot of Tamil friends, but I was pretty lucky in that way. But I didn't really like recognize the value of it because it was also pretty competitive. I felt like
Hmm.
that part of it really came into a vibe too. So I was like, oh gosh, everyone's the same as me, but everyone's so competitive. And it's
Hmm.
not a lot different in Iowa, but I was pretty lucky to have that early upbringing, and I
Hmm.
kind of realized that again after I went to college, if that makes sense.
Hmm. So you lived in Iowa, then you moved to Houston, and then now you go to college in Durham, North Carolina, right?
I was born in Iowa, but my earliest memory is in Houston, so that's when I remember first existing. And then
Hmm.
I moved back to Iowa, and then I moved to Durham. So,
Hmm. So out of those three places, what do you think was like the most diverse cultural community there?
oh, definitely, Houston was super like diverse. I think in the U.S. it's kind of there's a couple places that would rival Houston, but pretty thriving South Indian community there in Houston. And I think in Durham it's definitely there, but it's definitely not as much as Houston. It's maybe
Hmm.
more like North Indian community, I think. And then in Iowa, like where I live, is not a ton. But if you go to Iowa City with the university, there's actually a decent amount. So but I'd say none of that compares to the community that was in Houston, though.
That's really cool. Yeah.
So how's the community like at Duke, the like South Indian part?
I think they just like to merge it all together into North
Hmm.
Indian and South Indian, and then they just have like this um South Asian association called DIA, and so there's not really much of a divide between like North Indian versus South Indian. Although like my friends and I kind of talk about it and say about like how it's not exactly the same, but I
Hmm.
don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think they're just
Hmm.
trying to create an Indian community in the first place, and there's not a Tamil like specific community, but that's okay. Like definitely, I have no shame walking up to people and just saying, "Oh, you sound Tamil now. Do you speak Tamil?" Like I'm kind of like okay with that. Like I know might be a little unhinged, but that's just me. And I think that it's important, and I don't think we need to like make those boundaries between North and South India, or
Hmm.
think, "Oh, they're North Indian, I'm South Indian." Like it's just something that comes up in conversation, but it doesn't
Hmm.
have like specific groups that people kind of divide into and associate with the same type of Indian, if that makes sense.
Definitely, definitely. Have you had any experience with Telugu individuals or like the language?
Yeah, so interestingly, when I moved to Iowa, I live like in a pretty small town, but
Hmm.
most of the Indian people here did speak Telugu. They didn't speak Tamil. So they would like off I would often like just go to their house, like and I just call everyone auntie, of course, but
Hmm.
I'd go to their house and they'd all be speaking in Telugu. So that's kind of the um exposure I had. And also I used to do Carnatic singing, so a lot of the songs were like composed by Telugu composers. So I didn't understand anything. It's just like the Hindi music, but I like kind of understand like how the language sounds, if that makes sense. Like I can be
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, they're speaking Telugu, that's probably Telugu. Yeah. I can probably say that much, but that's about it.
Gotcha,
Do you
gotcha.
like recognize some of like the similar words between Tamil and Telugu when someone's like speaking Telugu?
Sometimes, but if you like gave me a quiz right now, I'd probably fail. But like in context, I can probably be like, okay, but if you
Yeah.
give me a quiz right now, I probably would not even get 50%.
Hmm. And I know, I think Tollywood, and then what do you call like the film industry in Tamil Nadu? What do you? I know Tollywood is for Telugu, but is there like a name for the Tamil industry?
Well, I'm kind of looking that up right now because I don't actually know. What about Collywood?
You just
Collywood?
say it for
Hollywood.
both.
Yeah, Collywood with
Okay.
a yeah.
Like I know for both languages like there's like a huge film industry for both. Do you have any preference? Because I personally have a preference for Tamil movies compared to Telugu movies.
Oh, okay. Well, I really like, if I'm gonna watch a movie with my parents, it's gonna be a Tamil movie. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know, it just makes me feel like very special and like kind of emotional in a way. And I just really, only feel like that with the Tamil movies. But
Mm-hmm.
lately, I've been feeling like there's not much of a plot sometimes, but that's okay. I think I really just watch them for the songs a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I really do. I just, all Indian movies are kind of musicals, and I don't really like musicals. Like I went to a couple like non like Indian musicals, but this one it just feels so precious. I'm just listening to just waiting for the songs, but I don't really have a preference. I'd say above all, I have a preference for the songs.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
What about you, Kritika?
What about what?
Um,
Oh, I was asking like if she has a preference.
Oh,
'Cause-
sorry.
I mean, I don't want to like choose like Tamil or Telugu movies, but like, cause I definitely have like favorites in each and like movies that I like cannot stand in each. But um, I don't know. That's a hard question. But what's your favorite Tamil movie, Sibani?
Oh, I think this movie was Kamal Hassan movie Vishwarupam 1 and 2. Specific.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. I haven't
It's
watched the second one, but
Oh yeah, I the second one isn't as good, but
mhm.
I watched that and I've never watched a movie like that. People have
Yeah.
their own thoughts about Kamal Hassan in general and his personal life, whatever. Because the movie was extremely controversial, but I think he really took a powerful and brilliant artistic risk with that movie, and there's not like probably a single week that goes by that I don't think about how great that was, and I really like that. And I don't think I've seen any Tamil movie that good since, but I've rewatched it many times since. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And what is your opinion on like Tamil heroes like Dhanush entering like Hollywood movies and like the American film industry?
I mean, why not? I'd be very proud.
Same. I was so proud. Even
I
though
would.
his role in what was it? The Gray Man was like 10 minutes. I literally watched it for him. It was so good.
I mean, why
Well, the
can't?
movie itself was questionable, but fine for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I know, like what is it? Deepika Padukone and Priyanka Chopra are entering it. Like, why not? Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
like
like
the
Deepika
people.
Padukone was at the World Cup. She like brought out the trophy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're both very talented, by the way. And Priyanka Chopra is like from Iowa too. Like she grew up here partially a little bit.
Damn.
So
Wow.
she grew up like actually in the city that I was born in. So I can't have that. And of course, I like them, see them on the screen. So I like to see any Tamil person too, just the same way, if not even more.
That sounds good. That sounds good. When was the last time you went to India, visited?
Yeah, so probably summer after sophomore year of high school. It's been quite a while, but after that, it was kind of stressful, and I was like, "Oh, college, okay, I can go. I'll be relaxed." And then no, that was more stressful. So after college, some point, I want to go this summer, 2023. Let's hope.
Yeah, same. That's when I'm going to.
Same. Um,
Is there any like particular places that you visit when you go to India, or do you just stick at South India?
Oh, okay. So we did go to Bangalore. We went once, for someone's wedding, like a friend's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Hyderabad, I actually have not been. I have not
Ooh.
been to North India besides the Delhi airport, but I don't think that counts. But
Mm-hmm.
I pretend like it counts. Anyway,
yeah, it's
I
okay, same.
so I think we do a lot of shuttling back and forth to just be in family, like between the village in Uttarameru and then Adayar. There's like a
Mm-hmm.
we shuttle a lot back and forth, and that's already like a 2.5 hour drive. So most of it's been that. But I think like if someone gets married in a different place, then that's when I'll go and explore and see the different parts of India.
Hmm.
Mm.
I mean,
And what is your favorite food? India street food or anything?
Oh, I like roadside tea. That is, we get this tea, in a really small cup, and I mean, I guess that's kind of cheating because it's not really food, but I like the what is the pakoras that they make like
hmm
that you can get with the roadside tea. We went on
Hmm.
a lot of drives,
hmm
and we always used to stop and get those, so I always liked it. Yeah.
Valid choice. What about you, Kritika? What is your favorite street food?
Um, there's just too many to choose from, honestly. I will probably eat and drink mostly anything. So even if the consequences might be like spending the next morning in the bathroom, it's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah, and so just some
What about
questions
you?
about Duke actually because oh sorry.
What, Suhas, what about you? Favorite
About
street food?
me. I'm a big foodie, if you know me.
We know.
um I don't know. I If you're talking about street food, I don't really like meat, like roadside chicken or roadside mutton. Just I don't know. It's sometimes it's just not really good quality. But if we're thinking like that, I'd probably say like pani puri. That's probably my
Hmm.
favorite.
That's a good choice.
Oh, just random question. Sibani, are you non-veg or veg?
Veg. Yeah.
Veg. Okay. And yeah, so I just have some questions about Duke because I feel like that's um like both me and Kritika both go to Georgia universities. I go to Georgia Tech, she goes to UGA. So what would you say about like the Duke like culture like the Durham like cultural area? So like do you think they have a lot of South Asian cultural representation outside of the university or anything like that?
Oh, there definitely is. There definitely is not as much as Houston, but you have whenever you have enough people, you have it. And
Mm-hmm.
I have seen, we have a Sangeet community, and they just don't do singing in Duke, but they go all around North Carolina, and they are always performing like in the temple. So those kinds of things definitely
Mm-hmm.
exist. And, a lot of like what is it, Bharatanatyam groups, performance instructors, people who've trained in India and are coming back. So it's definitely there. One thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely not as much as Houston. Like when I went from my public high school in Iowa to Duke and just like explore the community, I was like, oh, like there's Indian people here, like there's South Indian people here, but it's not like, it's definitely not like half the people. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely not like that. Even if you like walked into like a public school in North Carolina, I'd say like 20%. I'd see like 20% of people looking like us, but it's not like too much, or I guess it's just not like super prevalent. So I like that. Like it's a good balance in the diversity, I think, and the opportunities there, but you just have to seek it out. Like it's not like if you went to it like some Indian gathering, you would find exactly what you were looking for. Like you would definitely have to seek around and talk to find, like in performing or whatnot. But it's
Mm-hmm.
out there to find it. Like versus in Iowa is pretty much non-existent. So.
Gotcha, gotcha. And when you were talking about Houston and like the cultural community there, you said it was very competitive. I think that's what you said. So do you think that a reason that it's so competitive is because of like Indian parents tending to push their kids to pursue something like engineering or doctor instead of like something more liberal arts or in that area?
I actually don't think so, because like it's not like you can become a doctor when you're in your elementary school. Like I don't think anyone's accomplished that. So I don't really think that it's actually all about that. And what I saw in Houston, it was not just like in math and science, like it was everything. Like debate, spelling bee. Oh my. Go to the Houston Public Spelling Bee. It's more competitive than the National Spelling Bee, in my opinion.
Wow.
So it's that too. I think they just want their kids to succeed, and they want them to learn how to learn that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge, I think, and there's just they want them to understand there's no substitute for hard work. And while there's a lot of Indian students pursuing engineering and especially wanting to become a physician, that's not like a bad thing. And I don't like when people criticize that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no reason to pretend that it's not competitive. Like, if you don't have to lie to the world and be like, yeah, like Indians are not competitive, they definitely are. But sometimes, like, I think that pressure is a privilege, and we're lucky to have parents who care so much. And sometimes they could like tone it down in terms of like earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's just because they just want us to, not be afraid of hard work no matter what we pursue, and not to give up, because no matter how much you study and you go on into your field, there'll be like people better than you, and you're going to have days where you don't want to get up and go to work and do what you spent your whole life training for. So they just want us to make it persevere through those moments and be ultimately successful. So no, it's not just because of wanting to pursue engineering or medicine or anything like that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a very valid point because I feel like a lot of people assume that just Indian parents are like very strict on their kids. They just make them study all day, but like I would generally say it all comes from a good place. They just want their kids to be settled in life and make sure that they have like the right qualities for hard work.
And like a lot of people like to blame Asian American parents or even Indian American parents, but really like go to like any like other immigrant communities, like Eastern European, like those parents are just as involved and invested and wanting their kids to succeed. Maybe not might not be so obvious to outsiders, but I definitely think that it's not just a label they can just like slap on Indian parents or Asian.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to bring up so on your I saw that you published a piece on Teen Vogue talking about your Tamil culture and everything. So could you elaborate a little bit on that and like your process?
Oh yeah. So the summer after senior year, I went to this internship in Costa Rica, and it was an
Mm-hmm.
internship, but I worked in the mornings, like, and it was like field work, like it was a lot of it was like labor. And so I had a lot of free time. So my goal was like, okay, my goal is to publish something about this, like very publicly, because I
Mm-hmm.
never really like wanted to do so or like was encouraged to do so living in Iowa. So I'm like, I have this really kind of unique like upbringing. I think I'm unique. So I'm gonna publish it somewhere. And so I like contacted like 100 different places and sent this article and was like, please publish this about my grandmother. I feel guilty. I'm not visiting her in India right now. So please publish this. And then no one was interested, and people like said, oh, the writing, like the Washington Post was like, yeah, the writing is beautiful, but you need to make like this many edits, and I did all that, and they were like, no. And then I think like the biggest thing, like if anyone, I think anyone can write an article that gets published in a big outlet, by the way, and like we can all tell our stories, but I think it's like very important to contact an editor who might have like the same cultural, ethnic upbringing or kind of something similar, because at the time the Teen Vogue editor was Indian American, and she's
Mm-hmm.
no longer the editor, but the current editor is also Indian American. So how cool. So I just reached out and I said, I have a story, can you like work with me to put it on Teen Vogue? And she was like, yeah, she was like, we like this idea, we'll do it. So her name is Samhita, but I'm really grateful for her, because I just got a lot of no's, and I even got no's from Indian people. So I got very lucky, but I'm really proud of it. And I put a slap it onto my bio because I want everyone to read it. But yeah, anyway, that was the process. Just like probably like 3 months of trying to just get it in different places.
Mm-hmm. And what like started like how do you come up with the idea to talk about being Tamil?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I was in Costa Rica. I was listening to a lot of Tamil music. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like discovering all these new and old Tamil songs that I used to listen to in Houston. And at the beginning of the essay, I actually write about listening to music. So that's exactly where the idea came from.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
Well, Suha sent me the article like 5 minutes before we started, so I like barely got into it. But
Okay.
so far it was really interesting. So
Yeah. I did read it, the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy you guys did. Thank you. I want people to realize that language matters. It's just, even if it's not super helpful for your career, it's helpful for your confidence and sanity and, I don't know, cultural appreciation.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think the connection with our culture is something that can just be really beautiful.
hmm And like Sibani, so I know Iowa and North Carolina are definitely not next to each other, so you probably don't go home too much, right? During the semester?
I try to go home once a semester though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
like compared to us, we live like I'd say like an hour maybe from our homes, so we go almost every weekend. So how is it like? What is your like first feeling once you come back home and like see everything, like see your house decoration, see your parents? Like, what is your reaction to that?
Oh my God. I'm like, oh, I wish I could be home more often. I think that a lot. But when I'm in school, it's pretty stressful, so I don't, think about that ever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's just like I'm just too happy to even cry. I guess I'll describe it that way. But it's like so good. My mom, I said she makes the food, and we just talk and hang out, and I just tell her, yeah, it's just a great experience for me to not be at home and be more independent, because I know that I'd just be like way too reliant on my parents if I just went to school an hour away in Iowa City, although it would have probably been closer. But um yeah, I think it's like there's just like an, what is it called, emotional crescendo. I don't know, something like that, I guess, if I had to choose it, like a writing way to say it. So
Mm-hmm. And
So
what make oh
as
sorry, go ahead.
so as a senior in college, do you have any advice for us? We're freshmen, by the way.
oh yeah, I think that one of the biggest things I would do to try to do early is like try to use the network of your college. Like, alumni are super helpful, um, usually more helpful than current students sometimes, in navigating what you can do for the future, and not just which professors, but maybe like who like you should definitely talk to before you leave the campus. Like some of the best professors, academics, researchers. Just like really connecting with the alumni was one of the biggest things that I didn't really do until like maybe the end of my sophomore year. So I was already halfway through college before I started doing that. But that's great because it opened a lot of opportunities for me. And then
Hmm.
it just made me think, college is hard compared to high school for me. And it just made me think, okay, it's hard, but if I can make as much out of it just for my professional development as some of these other people did, like it'll all be worth it. So it's kept me motivated, and so I would do that too. Um, try to connect with people who've been through it and been through your school specifically, and ask them what were some of the most irreplaceable experiences they had.
That's of course that's 100% true.
We're definitely gonna take that advice. So
Yeah. So yeah, is there anything you want to elaborate a little bit more on your Tamil article? Sorry, it's really cool to me that seeing something like published in that and like such a big news outlet as well.
Yeah, actually, I guess there's one thing is I would tell people, this is not something I said myself, so I'll attribute the quote to one of my mentors. It was not Tamil, by the way. She's Chinese American, Dr. Quinn Wang, who was a Duke alum and medical student, now a startup founder. But basically, I would say to all Indian American, Asian American kids is that you don't have to completely give up your passion in the name of practicality. Like, you should, actually, it would make life better if you just actually nurtured it on the side. And I think I would encourage Indian Americans to be more outspoken about their cultural experiences and take a leap of faith. And just sometimes it just takes, one email, and really share their experiences through artistic forms and bring awareness to the culture, and at the same time strengthen their own confidence. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that, like in the Asian American community in general, but it's a little bit less, I feel like, with Indian Americans. So I think there needs to be just more of an effort to do that. And with that, I think we will all find the community that we want to find. But it does take some leap of faith to just write about situations where you might not like paint yourself as the best person in the world, or you might expose some of your insecurities, but you should be comfortable doing that. I feel like that's part of understanding yourself and
Hmm.
understanding culture and being human. So
Do you plan on ever publishing like a follow-up article maybe in the future?
I actually am wanting to write a book or something. So
Wow.
I have an agent, so I'm working on it. But it's not just about being Tamil, but it's
Hmm.
about like Indian American values, and just being like kind of the separation between my generation and my parents is like what we value, what we do. And it also has like a little bit of theme of life after stroke based on a family incident. So I'm working on that, but I don't know, it's not anywhere close to done and out in the world, so I don't want to say too much. So
Well,
Of course,
we'll
yeah.
get there, and we're excited to read about it.
That sounds
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, thank you for having me. It was a good experience, and I hope yeah, I was giving something along the lines of what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think a lot of our viewers are younger, like like they're about like high school or um maybe like a little bit older than us. But I think your experiences of just not being hesitant to share your culture, share what you like, share what languages you speak or anything like that, it's just something you should be proud of and part of your identity.
Yeah, thank you for the encouragement. I've also heard from a lot of my friends. I've also heard like I'm a little too like unhinged. I like that word, but it's okay. I just prefer to be myself. Everyone's already taken, so yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Have a
Thank you.
fabulous new year,
You
and
too.
wish you
You
all the
too.